First of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about smell or scent. I think most people don't give enough value to this sense that we have, the smell, because it's such a raw kind of sense that we have, and it's also very connected to our animal side, so to say. It's not so intellectualized. It's something that we feel in our bodies, and we don't have to really think about it. It just comes up. When we smell something we really enjoy, our body reacts in a certain way, and we just know that it is something good for us. And I also think that smell is usually associated with women, right? Because if you think about perfumes and all the good smells and all this, usually you associate this with women instead of men. And also because since some people, they believe that smell are not so rational, some people also consider women more connected to the body than to the mind, which is something that I don't really agree, because I'm not really fond of those binaries of mind and body. Everything is interconnected, and women and men have both of them. But yeah, usually women are associated with the body and the body senses, which are not so intellectualized.
And you can even think about, for example, aromatherapy. It's something that is also connected to women. And I think more women search for those kind of alternative treatments. But I was also thinking how smell is like very instinctual, and I at least connect people with smell quite a lot, but I don't think people talk about it because they feel weird, I think, when they say, oh, you have a certain smell, but it's not good, not bad. It's just like people smell differently. So even when you wear someone else's clothes, you can tell like, oh, this belongs to that person, not to me, because it smells different. But that's why I think smells can make us feel homesick sometimes, especially for those of us who are living far away from home. I remember when people came visit me, I always took some of their clothes and stayed with them because I'm like, it's a piece of you. Can I keep it? And it's just wonderful. And it also smells of food. So in your opinion, do you have a specific smell that reminds you of certain place or people? And can you tell us about it?
One smell, I think many people have the same thing as I'm going to say, but like coffee smell. The scent of coffee is something that really reminds me home, and also reminds me of a comfortable place. It's always like a good smell. I can follow, like the scent. Oh, it smells like coffee. So yes, coffee is one. What else? I really like to take the scent of mint as well, like very fresh. I think it's really nice. And I don't really have a specific connection to it, but recently I've been drinking a lot of mint tea. So maybe that's why I kind of created a connection with it by myself. Yeah.
In my case, cornmeal cake and black coffee reminds me home, because in Brazil people always eat fubá. It's like cornmeal cake, and it's really delicious, and well, I cannot find it here, so that reminds me of home. And also, yeah, we were even talking about like when we travel, the smell of certain things remind us so much of places, like maple syrup. Especially the maple syrup cookies is like Vancouver in my mind. And like seaweed for me is Japan. And also this kind of salty and sweet smell of like shoyu with sugar that we put in dango is like very Japanese to me as well. Dango is the rice cake. Yeah.
I agree. I also think that I really like the smell of grass when it's just like stopped raining.
Yeah.
It's also a smell that, I don't know, feels like my chest is opening up, and reminds me a little bit of my childhood, this smell, because we don't have a lot of grass here where I live right now. So it's also a good one.
I have a vivid memory, actually, of a smell. I remember when I first came to Korea, I just arrived in the airport, like the gates opened, and I could smell the sea, like very strongly, because the airport is in Incheon and it's close to the sea. Not that much, but I don't know why, but it felt like I was super close to the beach and I could smell like the salty water. And it was summertime, so it was very, like warm, and I just felt like I was in a beach and I was like, wow, this place smells salty.
Yeah. I think I had the sensation when we went to Portugal. It was the same. When we arrived, it was like, oh my goodness, smells like the sea.
Yeah. It did. Lisbon, and it did smell like the sea.
When you were talking about smells, that reminds me of places. Of course, Japan is like seaweed and rice and the sour plum, ume, and shoyu and miso and all those tastes. And like during spring is the sakura latte and the sweet beans as well.
Red bean paste.
Yeah, there are many tastes and smells that reminds me of Japan for sure. And for me, Korea is like gochujang. For me, Korea is like spicy food but it's like a pepper, which is a little bit sweet at the same time, and a lot of cheese. They put a cheese in everything. I don't know why.
Yeah. And it's always the same cheap kind of cheese. There's no differentiation, There's only two types. The white, like yellowish, and the cheddar type, and it tastes like industrialized food. And I remember French smells like butter in a good way. It smells like croissant, and it smells like the very, very good things you can find in bakeries. And for me, like smell of bread, it smells like home too. It's very comfort food. I love it. Cakes and bread and all this stuff.
Baked goods, I think. We were raised with baked goods.
Yeah, I mean, our mom used to bake a cake every weekend, no fail. And we would have cake every day of the week if you wanted.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.